Hi, 2P fam, and welcome to episode 38. We're almost at the end of the season, so I hope you guys are all caught up. But if not, well, you'll have time to do so after anyway. So, I hope everyone had a wonderful Valentine's Day. If that was your cup of tea, I think by the time this comes out, it'll be a few days past. Yeah. Valentine's Day. So, I nashed, but whatever, it's fine. I don't mind. Here, so. Life goes on. So anyway, let's just hop into the news. Yeah. Okay.
So in the news, it's definitely not been a good couple of years for Johnson and Johnson. Now Johnson and Johnson is pretty well known. They make medical devices, consumer packaged goods, and pharmaceuticals. And from everything from baby powder to Band-Aid, Johnson and Johnson is known for. Now, most recently, Johnson & Johnson have been slapped with a lawsuit concerning talcum powder.
When is it again?
This was, it's a couple of years back, I think. Okay. They've been slapped with that lawsuit because there was asbestos in the talcum powder. And then also they've been fined for fueling the opioid crisis by advertising highly addictive prescription painkillers. So that's that. But most recently, Johnson & Johnson is back in the news because they deceptively marketed pelvic mesh products in California. Ooh. And they've been sued in California, not that they produce it in California. And they've been ordered to pay $344 million for selling thousands of vaginal meshes, implants, and not revealing the side effects of these devices. Now, these meshes are synthetically, surgically implanted through the vagina for women who suffer from incontinence or prolapsed pelvises. Now,
can I just interrupt this? And usually this happens as a side effect of childbirth. So, you have prolapsing because of you having to push so hard and just things. Yeah.
And even as you get older, sometimes you may cough. That's called incontinence stress. You may cough, and then you can't control it, or you may lift something heavy, and so people have that problem. Approximately 3 to 17% of women suffer at some point from incontinence. Now, the side effects of these vaginal meshes have been very, very wide ranged. Scarring, loss of sexual function, further incontinence, urinary and defecatory dysfunctions, painful intercourse, and just generally the quality of life has been reduced. Now, I just feel like large companies like Johnson & Johnson should know better. They're making a lot of money, so they should take their time in doing their research and development before they bring out a product.
Absolutely.
And even when they do, they should be upfront with it and say, these are the side effects, so that you have enough information at hand to make that decision.
Because some people might still go ahead. It depends the severity of what you're dealing with, right?
So if you're the one who says, okay, I know all these side effects, but I still happen to go in for, I still want to do this transplant, then at least you've made the decision based on the information that you know. And the urinary incontinence market is apparently thriving very well and expected to grow between the year 2020 and 2024. Again, if you know the side effects, then you're well equipped to make good decisions. But then if you don't know, then it's sort of, I'm just going to try this. It may work, it may not work. And then you get Johnson & Johnson who gets slapped with all these lawsuits.
Right, and especially when they're promoting the thing as like some miracle cure, without telling you what it's actually going to do.
It is, yeah. So I just think it's really unfortunate. They could have done better to avoid all these things. And the fact that they've had so many lawsuits concerning
and they keep having to pay. They keep losing. So it means they're blatantly unethical about these things.
I don't know. As a brand, you're ruining your brand. They probably think they have a large market share, so it may not affect them.
Right.
But then because as time goes
they do have a monopoly, like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble. I think that there was some chart that showed, like, when you really go down to, there are only about maybe 5 companies max that produce literally everything in the world that we use. All, like, from your cereal to your milk to your lotion, it's all under the same parent company. So I guess they think they're too big to fail.
But you could fail. You'd be surprised. You're never too big to fail. And this is just a word of caution, really, to big brands, small brands. When you're putting out information out there, be as transparent as possible. Let the customer make informed decision based on what you have given them, not let them be guessing that maybe so, maybe not, And that's my in the news.
That's great. Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so for my in the news, Lagos bans the use of motorcycle taxis in certain key areas.
Saw that.
Right. So starting from the first Monday in February, the Lagosian governor decreed that Okadas and Okekes would no longer be able to operate in the central part of the city, which is heavily congested and known for having terrible traffic. Now, if you don't know what an Okada is, it's just like a motorcycle. Like the type you would see in like a Chinese, back in the day, those Chinese films where everybody had motorcycles, just your basic, not a fancy sport like racing bike, it's a basic bike. And an okeke is the two-wheel at the back type. If you're here, it's known as Mahama Kambu. Oh. Outside, you might know it as a tuk-tuk because it's quite popular in some South Asian countries like Thailand especially. All right. So those two, Okadas and Okekes, have been banned. Now, according to officials, the ban was to ease traffic, obviously, congestion, to address traffic safety, and also to address personal safety and civil safety, because apparently Okadas especially have been linked to being used as getaway vehicles for robberies in the city and so on and so forth. Okay. So, motorcycle taxi transportation is the most popular type of transport in Lagos. So, the effect of the ban was that thousands of commuters that Monday morning, ended up being stranded with unable to get to work because there were not enough vehicles available for them to get into town. Right. Now, as I said, this has motorcycle, Okada and Okeke are the most popular form of transportation in Lagos. So it caused a huge, amount of human traffic and people stranded, to the point where Twitter was joking that some people were riding horses and stuff like that. And I saw the horses, but I'm not sure. I didn't go in. I don't know if it's specifically, but it was hell, right? So needless to say, the ban has not been popular, neither with the commuters nor obviously with the Okeke and Okada riders. So if you were listening I think it was 2 weeks ago, I talked about road accidents. I think that was last week. And I gave some statistics, and I'll just go over them quickly. The world statistics for deaths per 100,000 is 18.2. That's the world average. Ghana, who is doing very horribly where that is concerned, is at 26.2 deaths per 100,000 in road fatalities. In Nigeria is at 20.5. So they're a bit better than us, but still doing quite terribly. Also, if you recall, I said that the top 10 countries outside of one with the worst traffic fatalities or road fatalities in the world are all African countries. And that one country is Thailand. Now, what I'm getting at is I am a firm believer that Okadas, Okekes, and that kind of transportation should not be allowed on our main roads. Sorry. Because ultimately, especially, if you basically, let me put it this way, if you've ever driven in a city where there are a lot of those things, I won't have to explain myself. They never seem to, especially in Ghana, I don't know when and why we decided that motorcycles don't have to obey traffic rules. They don't stop at traffic lights. They drive between lanes. They don't really drive in the lane. Some drive the wrong way on the road. They just do whatever the hell. And it creates a lot of commotion and confusion, and they're a danger to themselves and to everybody else. And you're always driving with the worry that you're going to knock somebody down, and then they'll come and be like, hey, you've killed them. Meanwhile, the person is doing whatever. They don't wear helmets, all sorts of things, right? So I was actually kind of annoyed or kind of distressed when I noticed that Okadas were catching on in Ghana, and that is something we adopted directly from Nigeria with the name and all, right?
Because when I was growing up in Ghana,
we didn't have. You're talking about growing up. Even when I first got here, it wasn't a thing. Then all of a sudden, as usual, MPs or whatever trying to buy votes started buying motorcycles for jobless boys and saying they should use them for Okada and all this. So now, go to Ashaiman, we have a huge Okada, there's some Okada thing there. Of course, parts of Accra, Circle, and all this there. You can see where the Okada stations are. No regulation, no oversight, no nothing. Again, I talked about licensing. Who said these people even know how to ride motorcycles? Nobody. They just get up, sit on it, and say they're transporting people. It's dangerous for many, many reasons. Okay. Now, so as usual, we are going to sit around, and I hope Ghana is taking note that the situation became untenable in Lagos and they had to ban them. We should actually do something about it now before it gets to that point where it becomes like a whole crisis. But this is the thing we always do. You get a cut, you get a wound, instead of treating it with gentian violet and putting a band-aid on it you wait until the thing goes gangrenous and your arm has to be amputated. That's what we like. We don't like to address the problems initially when they're manageable. Okay. So, of course, because I'm sure some people are already thinking it, there's the inevitable accusation of like, oh, you're just being elitist, your middle-class privilege is showing, you have a car, these people don't have car. Listen, I have always maintained that poverty does not give you the justification and the excuse to go ahead and make the wrong choice just to make a way, if you understand what I'm saying. Being poor doesn't mean you should go and build a shanty town along the highway and start running up and down across the highway. That is not the solution to the problem. Being that you're poor, yes, does not mean that you should start riding 3 on a motorcycle, 1 lady holding a baby. That is not the solution to that problem. Being poor doesn't mean that, okay, now you're going to hawk in the middle of traffic and be running in and out of the traffic. And that is not the solution to that particular problem. So yes, I get it. And as usual, of course, we never seem to be able to do things correctly. Because as far as I'm thinking, when somebody came up with the idea that, okay, let's ban Okadas and Okekes, someone should have done some kind of study. Okay, how many daily commuters do we have in Lagos? How many people use specifically Okada and Okeke as primary transportation? Okay, if we cancel that, do we have a sufficient amount of buses and alternate forms of transport to pick up the slack?
And that was you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
What is the transition period? Was there a transition period? Did they announce it like a year ago to give people time to transition to other things or to buy the extra buses, or what is it? It doesn't seem so, because how come everybody woke up that morning and didn't know what to do? Like, what kind of life is this? I always say that for Africa to thrive, we need what? Creative solutions to unique problems. Now, those are the 2 key words there. Creative. So it can't just be like the regular stuff everybody else does, because again, our problems are unique. Other countries don't have millions of people who don't have cars and are relying on motorcycles as taxis. They don't. So they will not have to deal with this. Therefore, you can't look to Tokyo or whatever it is and say, okay, they are a heavily populated urban area. What do they do? Because they don't use Okekes and Okadas there, right? We create crises for no particular reason. Okay, so.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and that was my problem with the ban. Like, the government didn't bother to find out how it would affect commuters. Right. They just outright ban. I just think that was not the way to do it. And people are complaining.
Of course,
if anything, they could have phased it out. They could have done it in bits or whatever. But then an outright ban, and then the commuters suffer.
Usually, would be at least a 2-3 year thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And at least everybody that is an Okada, because apparently they also had. People have Okada services, like an Uber for an Okada.
Yeah.
Right? And some of these people are registered companies with government and all this. So you've ostensibly condoned, even supported these things. So to outright ban it one morning, it
doesn't
go like that.
No,
it doesn't go like that. You need time to allow people to phase out. 2 years is even short. It's usually like a 5-year thing. You announce 2023 or whatever it is. You'll no longer be able to operate Okadas and Okekes.
Exactly.
So people will start
themselves.
I mean, so you mean to tell me that all these big people in government, this basic.
I don't know. People are just not thinking. I'm sorry, but you're not thinking. If you get up and say you're going to make a decision, you're not thinking. You're not thinking of the people. You're just thinking of coming across as a hard guy in politics who got something done.
Right, and they had police people with sticks beat the. I mean. You really need someone to tell you that when you're coming up with a plans or a decision such as this, it needs time to be implemented. Really. You make thousands and people call you, hey, boss, God, big man, honorable, whatever. And you can't, the basics. Anyways, let me look.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Moving on. But yes, I think we need to also make that announcement here. No more Okekes. Let me qualify that. Outside of the urban areas is fine because again, there's some rural areas where
that is
cars, taxis, that need them. Rural areas, things like that, perfect. But Heartland, Accra, motorway, you're on the motorway and there's some little...
They're just weaving through. They're just,
It's rubbish. It's rubbish, to be honest. Anyway, so that's my 2 passages this week.
That's a brilliant
one. All right.
I hope the officials are listening. I really hope so that you can pick a...
Listen, if one of your uncles or whatever, but play it for him, just this segment, please, we beg, because...
Insane. Right. Okay. Right, and with that, we're on to something lighter, songs of the week. I've got 2 songs for you today. The first one is a song called 40 Years by Flavour and Chidinma. Now, Flavour, I think we all know Flavour Nabania. Chinedu Okoli is a Nigerian artist.
Please, it's Flavour.
Flavour, Nabania, Flavour. And his first album came out in 2005. He sings in Igbo. And that's just so beautiful. I love like hearing
Igbo is romantic.
It's beautiful. It really
Shout out to Igbo boys out there. Hello.
And his first album, his debut album Nabanye, came out in 2005, I believe. And he's had about 4 albums since then. And for the song 40 Years is a song of the 5-song EP called 40 Years Everlasting. He made it with Chidinma. And it's an EP that talks about appreciating love from a young age to old age. I know there were rumors about him and her dating or something, but that's not really my business. So it is what it is.
That'd be cute though.
Yeah.
Cute little couple.
Yeah. So Chidinma Ekele, she's also quite popular Nigerian singer, songwriter. She won the 3rd season of Project Famous Africa. I didn't know.
She was on Project. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. And one of my favorite songs from her is "Falling in Love." I really like that song. And 40 Years. It's a beautiful track. The video is pretty cool as well, so you might want to go check that out. The second song that I have for you is from a South African artist called Elaine, and the song is "You're the One." She's 20 years old from Pretoria and an R&B singer. She started singing when she was 6, she says, and she loves Lauryn Hill and Beyonce. And You Are the One is off of her project called Elements. And again, Elements is also about love, all kinds of love. So it looks like today I have a love thing going on. So that's always great. I think she has a great future. I mean, I listened to the song and I thought it was pretty good.
That's cool.
And somebody worth watching out for. So that's my pretty short Flavour and Chidinma 40 Years and Elaine, You're the One.
Okay, so for my songs of the week, I'm gonna start off with somebody who is also very young and upcoming, and somebody I think who will be one to watch. And so my first song is by an artist called B.Botch. And it's called Summer Vibe, and it features another artist called Dani, Draco. Oh, wow. So, exactly.
From where you taking these from?
Yeah, man, listen. deep. SoundCloud, actually. So, B.Botch, his real name is Blessing Botre, and he's a 21-year-old Afrobeats artist. And he was raised in East Legon, and he said he was exposed to music early because his parents were fans of Michael Jackson, who isn't. And he used to follow his mom to the studio when he was young because she was a gospel singer. So basically, he caught the bug for music. His first single came out in 2017, And he's had about 5 official singles since then. He has a latest song that came out just a couple of days ago called Panther. However, this particular song, as I said, I discovered on SoundCloud. I don't believe it's an official release of his. But I just, it was just playing random songs actually. And I heard it and I was like, who is this? Because it has a vibe to it, right? It's not breaking the wheel. It's not like, transcendent, as they say. It's not transcendent. But it reminded me a little bit of YC. There's a little bit of like a Kwesiata vibe in there. It's familiar, but it's familiar, reminiscent of artists that I like. So I'm like, okay, if you can find, I suppose, a slight bit more individuality, right? Something that sets him apart from others, everybody else. Because as much as I love Afrobeat and Afropop, I think we can all agree that at some point a lot of the songs are starting to sound similar, the same. Yes. You can't do UG kind of sound, like they all kind of, and although the music is good, like it just kind of blends into it. It's like a rhythm at some point. So I think there is a bit of that too, but I definitely like what he's doing. I definitely think he has a future. He'll probably pop soon, and don't forget where you heard it first. No, I'm just being silly. So yeah, check that out. B.Botch. Summer Vibe featuring Dani Draco. Okay, so my second song is called What's Up Danger, and it's from the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. Now, if you haven't seen Into the, please watch it. Listen, I don't even know how to describe to you how good it is. If you like animation, and if you like superhero films, if you like Spider-Man, it is probably one of the best superhero films I've seen. Like, I don't even know, I can't even begin to tell you how good that film is.
I've heard so many great reviews.
It is. Look, I'm literally speechless. It's that good. It's so good. Anyway, and the soundtrack was pretty dope as well. And this song, What's Up Danger, is by an artist called Blackway, and in a collaboration with a DJ duo called Black Caviar. Now, the interesting thing about Blackway is he's actually KSM's son, Kweku Sintim Misa. Oh. Yeah, he was born Yao Sintim Misa, and he moved with his mom to New York in 2006, and that's where he's been. He's released a couple of mixtapes, and he's signed to Republic Records, and he appeared on this album, which got nominated actually for Best Compilation for Visual Medium. So, and yeah, it's hip hop. First of all, Blackway is an amazing rapper, I must say. He's like quite good. I guess talent runs in their family, because Kweku Sintim Misa, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of our Ghana's most famed comedians and also actors. And the song is really good. And again, like I said, the movie just moved me beyond imagine. Like, I just loved it so much. And the part in the song the part in the movie where this song plays is just, I cried. Let me just put it that way. It's not even a sad, it's one of those motivational, like, this is your time, go get it type moments. And it was absolutely perfect and made me love the song instantly. The song is great, just generally speaking. So that's my second song, What's Up Danger by Blackway and Black Caviar. And then the final song I have on here also made... I guess the theme is songs that made me cry. Listen, don't go tell anyone I'll be out here crying, because my reputation is at stake.
Too late.
I'm a gangster. I don't cry. What? Okay. The last song is by Alicia Keys featuring John Mayer, and it's called Lesson Learned. So this was before Adele came out, before 21 came out, this would be the song that I would listen to for catharsis and healing, just cry my eyes out and move on when someone has done me dirty, right? This was the song. So, of course, it's Alicia Keys. I don't need to talk much. She has about 6 albums to date. I rocked with her heavy for the first 2. The first 2 were flawless. The third one was kind of half and half. At some point, Alicia's vocals started getting screechy, like screechy and out of tune. I don't know what happened. It was just kind of... So this is kind of the album which has started happening, because that No One song came. No One. Yeah. And I was like, Can someone? Sis is like she need a pitch correct anyway.
Oh Lord!
But it still had, of course, quite a few beautiful songs. This being one, and of course John Mayer. I don't know. A lot of people may know him. A lot of people don't. He's a, I guess, rock artist, rock pop. He plays guitar. He's famed for that, blues guitar and everything, soul rock guitar, and he's quite good. He's in the news lately because of his. Jessica Simpson released a book and she's talking about their really messy, toxic relationship. So anyway, but yeah, this particular song, Lesson Learned, was off her third album, As I Am, which came out in 2007. Sorry, and of course, it's just absolutely beautiful. The lyrics are beautiful. It will help you heal if you need it to. And yeah, so that's just to recap my 3 songs: B.Botch, Summer Vibe featuring Dani and Draco. Blackway and Caviar with What's Up Danger, and Alicia Keys featuring John Mayer with Lesson Learned.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Well, that's straight into What the F. So a 25-year-old woman flying from Hong Kong to Saipan was forced to take a pregnancy test. They asked her, she told them that she was not pregnant, but then they still asked her, I guess the staff still asked her to pee on a stick. Pretty humiliating. Now, of course, later Hong Kong Express Airway apologized and said that they would stop this practice. Now, Saipan is the largest island of the Northern Mariana Islands and is a U.S. territory. Has been so since 1978. Interesting. And has been a popular place for women to go to and give birth. So, birth tourism. Now, in 2015...
And it's where?
Saipan.
It's
the largest island of the Northern Mariana Islands.
I'll have to go look. So you're telling me the U.S. owns some land in Asia somewhere randomly?
Yeah. I didn't know this. I was quite surprised.
Right? I mean, we know about Puerto Rico and Hawaii and stuff like that, but
I didn't know this. Huh. So people go there to go and give birth so
and get U.S. citizenship. Exactly. Whoa, okay, wow.
So in 2015 to 2016, 715 babies were born there in Saipan. 95% of whom were of Chinese descent. And in 2018, more tourists than locals gave birth there. Now, birth tourism is a thing. I know Ghanaians do it. I know lots of Nigerians also do it. They go to predominantly the US to go and give birth.
UK.
I thought that they scrapped that UK. Or
you can't get...
I don't know. Automatically, do you still get that?
You can?
You still can.
I think so.
Yeah, so they go there, go give birth so that their children get citizenship. Some people do this because they get better health care, but predominantly it's because their children can get citizenship. And it's actually not illegal to do so. If you can prove that you can pay for your hospital bills, you have the necessary documents, then it's actually not a problem. Although I do hear that President Trump is trying to change that.
Trying to ban that.
Yes, so that when you go to the embassy and they say that you're pregnant, they can decide to deny you.
No anchor babies or whatever he said. Idiot. Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, I just think it's a really short. I think it's unfortunate that they pick people out and say, are you pregnant? Are you not pregnant? Especially if it's not illegal. Well,
exactly. I'm a little confused. Like, why? First of all, I know that obviously you can't fly after a certain stage in your pregnancy. And I've heard about, Ghanaian women talking about how they waited until they were like 6 months and then tied something on their tummies to make, because apparently if they notice, then they might turn you away, right? Because I think also a lot of people just go because like you're supposed to at least be able to prove you can afford it, to do. I mean, the U.S. healthcare system is wildly expensive, right?
Expensive.
You can easily pay $10,000.
Yes, that's what they said. $10,000 yeah.
So, and some people get on the plane knowing they don't have no $10,000 and go to the hospital. And if you've already given birth, what are they going to do?
Like, they're going to push it back into your,
So I think there is the element of that. So people are now like, you can get to the immigration and they're like, no, go back or whatever. But apart from that, and the health risk of flying when heavily pregnant, how can you just be giving people pregnancy? That means she didn't look pregnant in any way.
And that's discrimination. You shouldn't.
It's discrimination. It's a violation of your rights, and it's not an airline. Who are you? Why do they have pregnancy sticks on board? Like what?
So that was a bit of a what the F moment for me. Like, absolutely, like, she should have refused. If I was like, absolutely not. But then she probably wanted to catch a plane. So she's like, let me just do it. Show that I'm not pregnant and then go on with my day.
Insanity.
That's ridiculous, you know. So yeah, that's my what the F really.
Huh. Interesting. I've never heard of this place to begin with.
I hadn't either. Because when I said Saipan, I said, that sounds very Asian. So let me go check. Unfortunately, I didn't check exactly where it is. All I know is in the Northern Mariana Islands.
Interesting.
I was like, well, the US is over there as well.
What are the asses doing there? What? Why are you owning people's... I even get into that today. Okay. So my in the F...
Today is Bish Day. It happens.
Oh God, this is very hot.
It's
That's
hot,
all I can say.
We're melting here.
My what the F also takes place in South Asia. In this time, well, not South Asia, East Asia. South Korea, rather. And remember one time on Eddie's, I don't remember what segment, she talked about how Koreans were checking themselves, were having fake funerals for themselves. Yeah. Well, this time they are checking themselves into fake prisons. Hey. Yes. So, look, daily life in Korea has got to be stressful AF because people are doing the most, and all it's for is just to get a bit of peace of mind, right? Now, one of the most popular prisons, voluntary prisons, has hosted over 2,000 people since it opened. Most of them are office workers and students trying to escape the rigors of Korea's very, very demanding work and academic culture. Now, you may remember one of us has mentioned here that Korea has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, actually second highest. If I'm not mistaken, number one is Japan. I'll have to check that, but clearly their work culture is extremely, extremely demanding and stress-inducing. So people have taken to checking themselves into these prisons just to get, some 1 to 2 days of complete peace, quiet, and zen.
Nothing.
So they do take the prison element quite seriously. When you go, you're issued a blue uniform. You can't have a phone in there. You can't have a clock in there. You're not allowed to talk to any of the other inmates. There's no mirror. You can't even look at yourself. The cell is very small. And you're issued a sleeping mat. You have to sleep on the floor. And then they give you a pen and a notebook. And even the diet is very restrictive. They only give you potatoes, bananas, rice porridge, very bland diet.
Wow.
Yes.
So like a real prison. Really.
Yes, like a real prison. And apparently people love it. And
they love it because they know they're going back to their life. If they were there forever,
I know. Yeah. Well, like I said, there's a difference between voluntary prison and clack.
For real.
So apparently attending one of these custom-made prisons costs about $90 a night. So it's not even cheap, to go and sleep on the floor and eat rice porridge. And most of the people say they come out feeling peace and happiness. And one of the inmates, quote unquote, said that the true prison wasn't this cell, but actually the outside world. So people are really, really getting stressed. And we've talked about, lots of things about finding happiness and how to make you dealing with depression and things like that. And it's sad that, society has gone to a point where people have to take these extreme measures just to get a little bit of peace and quiet and mental, I guess, restoration. But it goes to show, I'm going to throw some shade here, but I'm just going to say that in most African countries can't relate because we have such a poor work ethic around, we'll never be able to conceive what it means to work so hard that you literally go home and kill yourself because we are just like, what is the saying? I cannot kill myself. That's what we say over here. I cannot come and kill myself. I'm 2 hours late. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
No Okada, so I came late.
So, I had to find a horse or a donkey. So
please, I'm going for lunch. I won't be back because I have to go to the market. No problem. We don't play that. And even though our productivity and everything else are very low because of it, maybe there's a balance in between, somewhere on the spectrum between us being completely inefficient and I mean, let me not even get started. You go to an office and you go and talk to the secretary, and the speed with she's like,
it's like you're blowing
yes. As she's using one eye to watch a telenovela and the other eye to listen to what you're saying, like, have a seat. And you're like, okay, are you going to get up and call someone? And she's like, la, 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 la.
Taking a sweet time.
Taking a sweet time, Maybe we need to, I don't know. Who was it? Which country? One of these Scandinavian, because, Scandinavia always be on it. They decided to have, is it four
working, yeah,
a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really affected, because they're like, the longer you stay here, if you're not really feeling it, you won't be working efficiently anyway. We need to come up, we can find that type of behavior. Let's not get to the point where we're either killing ourselves because we're so stressful, or we can't progress as a nation because we're all too chill.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my what the F this week.
Yeah, good one. Right. Okay, and with that, we're at 2 Pesewas. My 2 Pesewas today is on breast ironing. Now, in what is a very outdated and totally useless practice, it seems as though breast ironing hasn't stopped. This has been in the news for a couple of years now, but then recently I happened to see it again. So I thought this is a good place to talk about breast ironing. Now, breast ironing is the process or procedure of flattening a girl's chest or breast with the outcome of delaying breast growth. Now, they use hot stones, they use pestles, they use hammers, they use all sorts of things, grinding stones. Sometimes they bind and tie, just repeatedly to sort of break up the breast tissue or to slow the growth rate. Now, breast ironing is a practice that is something that's practiced in a lot of African countries, but to the stats later. Now, by all terms, breast ironing is child abuse.
Thank you.
Cruel.
Thank you.
And you're basically setting up your child for mental and physical scarring. It should be stopped. Absolute rubbish. So you're basically saying that she has to cope with something that is no fault of hers. So
because the patriarchy. Sorry, I'm on one today.
I can tell. So why is breast ironing done at all? Usually, mothers claim it's done so that their daughters don't get unwanted attention from boys. So no unwanted sexual attention, they don't get raped, to delay sexual activity, yada, 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 yada. I'm saying that you're targeting the wrong group.
Thank you.
It's stupid. What you're telling me.
Why don't you go pound penises then?
This is exactly what I thought. But I said, you know what, maybe I'm not going to say that because it might sound a bit too much.
Listen, don't go pound penises either. We shouldn't do any of these things, right? It shouldn't have. How about you talk to your children? Let's start there.
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is that you're willing to maim your daughter's body so that you can cater or pander to a man who cannot control his urges. Who cannot control his...
Because in quotations, right? Because they can.
Yeah, exactly. He can't control his urges. He can't control his fantasies. So you're going to destroy your daughter so that you can pander to him. That doesn't sound like sensible to you at all. Right? And again, this goes back to having control over a woman's body. Because you as a man, you've seen me with my sexy body.
Because the patriarchy.
So you're telling me that, okay, you see me like this fine girl like me, I've got a nice body, but because it's worrying your eyes, I need to do something to myself so that you feel better. Do you know how stupid that sounds?
Listen, and some of you all, we have, the contingent of fake Christians is very prominent and very loud out here. And I'm like, when they're always like, women should dress decently, wear something long, stay indoors. I'm like, doesn't the Bible say something about if your eye is bothering you, pluck it out? Why don't we start there? Pluck your eye out. How about that? You want to pound someone's brain, because it really does cause scarring.
It does.
Like you can, and destroy it. Like it's absolutely physically unhealthy. And of course the mental, of having someone pound from childhood.
It's just like, also, the argument for breast ironing is null and void when you consider that rapists rape people that do not have breasts.
Thank you. And with no problem. Okay? If they're going to rape, they're going to rape. Breast or no breast, it won't save you.
It's just, I don't want to go on and that. Some people say, okay, some mothers say, okay, it's because they want to keep their children longer in school so that they don't get pregnant. blah, but some people say it's because, all of my friends have done it, so I also want to do it. And I don't want to go on another tangent about tradition and culture. It's our culture, it's our culture. Some of these things that you say our culture are bringing you absolutely nowhere.
Thank you.
In the name of tradition, in the name of culture, you've got to think.
Just because it was our culture doesn't mean we need to bring it into the new era if it's not useful. We used to bury children with sheaves. Is that should we keep doing that because it's our culture? Let's not.
A 12-year-old died because a stone had burned through her breasts.
Oh, God.
Another woman developed a hard lump, which eventually turned out to breast cancer. And apparently doctors and some nurses are saying that there seems to be a link with breast ironing and breast cancer.
So I'm not surprised.
That's just...
I'm not surprised in the least.
Another had an infection and couldn't breastfeed, and a host of other issues. It's just basically infections, psychological trauma. Breast ironing is rubbish. Stop it. Now, so back to the stats. Breast ironing is common in Western and Central Africa, Guinea-Bissau, Chad, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, but also Kenya and Zimbabwe. But it's particularly common in Cameroon. And that's where I also first heard of it from. Cameroon and breast ironing, they seem to have a thing for that. So, and worldwide, 3.8 million teenagers are suspected to have been affected by breast ironing. That's just way too much. And the UN describes ironing as the most underreported crime associated with gender-based violence. Again, those who need to take responsibility for their actions should do that. No woman, no girl needs to suffer because you cannot control or because you are just a pervert and just a stupid person.
Exactly.
How is that even making sense, right? Again, this whole thing is a power play. Me as a woman, I need to do anything that I can for you as a man so that you can live your life, but then I can suffer.
Including mutilating my child.
You know? Let's again, you guys know, again, I keep repeating, you know how I feel about sexual predators. You know how I feel about rapists. We should be addressing them and leave the little girls to go and have a beautiful life. And that's my 2 pesos on
Wonderful. And of course, as Eddie has said, like a lot of you, well, not you guys, because you guys are awesome. Hello. Mwah. A lot of the other people out there, the minute they hear the word patriarchy, then they tune out. But the evidence is there. Like, for example, how many cultural practices involve mutilating and maiming boys? I'll wait. Apart from circumcision, right? Which some people have complained about and protested about. But there is like actual like science, the health basis for that. In some, you're less likely to get certain types of cancer, infections, things like that. And even then, it's not, people are saying that we shouldn't do it.
Please, male circumcision is what we're talking about.
Yes. Male circumcision, right? Because I was talking about mutilation of boys, right? Whereas on the other hand, you have something like FMG, which has no basis except to again control the women's sexuality. Control. It's always about control.
Power,
making sure that the women stay one step or multiple steps below and beneath the men. It is patriarchy. It is a patriarchal system. It's endemic. It's systematic. And we're not going to stop talking about it because you have to acknowledge that it exists before you can address it. So we need to and then again, like I said, there are patriarchy princesses out there, women who go out of their way to uphold these distorted practices. Like the breast pounding, it's the women doing it to their daughters. It's not the men doing it. The female genital mutilation, it's the women that carry out the practice. And they'll be like, well, it was done to me and I survived. So you must also do it. How can you?
I really don't know. What's the argument for ironing somebody's breast? What's the a genuine argument that makes sense? I can't find one. Sorry.
We have to start realizing that men are also individuals with brains and I don't understand why we treat anytime we talk in this context it's as though the men are like children.
Yeah, they're not.
Like toddlers who they don't know how to control themselves, so we can't do anything about that. So we're gonna be over here mutilating our female kids. And then on the other hand, then you say the man is the head of the household and is only one that can be the president or the boss because he's a man. Which is it? If he's the only, which is it? is he very childlike and unable to control his impulses, and therefore we must protect ourselves from them? Or are they the iconic leaders and whatever, and the only ones qualified to make decisions around here? Which is it? Because it can't be both. And that's why this kind of stuff is so stupid, because it's
stupid.
like...
It's annoying. Why?
Listen... Let's just move on, please.
I read these things and I get so upset and I get so annoyed. Like, why are people not able to think
in
and
2020? You get up and look at your baby and put hot iron.
And they're doing this in the UK. There are mothers who live in the UK and they are doing these things
because
there.
And of course now, if you go and interfere, they'll be like, you're not respecting cultural diversity, and it's racism and discrimination. But it's not. You're abusing someone.
You're abusing your child.
Who at that point is a UK citizen. So they have rights now. You can't go around pounding UK kids' breasts. You just can't. Sorry. And you shouldn't be in the first place. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, anyway, shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on, please.
All right. So my 2 pesos this week is kind of loosely structured. It's not something educational or anything. It is about being 30 plus and single.
Oh boy.
Yo, let's go.
Let's go there, because I got a lot to say.
So now it seems like the minute you cross over into 30, actually, even before that, because people be extra these days. If you're 27, they start asking you questions, right? But the minute, definitely, when you cross over into your 30s and you don't have a ring on your finger, then you get tagged, right? And I always compare it to having leprosy, actually. People are sympathetic. Yeah. They feel sorry for you, but they also find you disgusting and don't want to be close, right?
There must be something wrong with you.
There has to be some fundamental flaw in your personality or character why you, quote unquote, can't find a man who wants to marry you, right? Now, also, people start to wonder, is there a generational curse at play here? And then, of course, you have, pastors and churches arranging I must marry or die conferences. I saw one, that was 2 years ago. I must marry or die. And it was a week-long conference. I don't know what you were supposed to go do there all week. I guess pray hard that God blesses you with a husband. You have the friends who start playing matchmaker by force, or the aunties and stuff who, are desperate to show concern and find you a man. So they'll be like, I met this guy. Yes, I mean, he has very bad body odor and he's missing some teeth or whatever. But manage him like that. Even if he's poor, you have money. So, because you need a husband. You must have a husband. I have 4 things to tell you today. 1, don't fret. And let me put it into 2 things. 1 is don't fret, but do focus. And 2, don't panic, but do reflect.
Nice.
All right, so let me try it, because I was just I wrote this at 3 a.m., so please, it might not make much sense. But so, of course, don't fret. Don't sit there and worry, okay? Is there something wrong with me? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough? Has someone put a generational curse on me? Because hey, I don't know. Why are all my friends married but not me? Why do all my friends have kids but not me? Some people are on their second husbands, right? And I can't get a call back. What's going on, right? This is all unhealthy. Because I think deep down, there's nothing wrong with you. You know you're pretty enough, because ugly girls get married all day long. Let's just keep it real. Or shall I say, people that aren't considered conventionally attractive for the society in which they live, because we all know beauty is subjective, and ugly here could be bomb somewhere else. So, don't worry about all that stuff, because it's not going to help you at the end of the day, and all it will do will lead to depression, probably.
Or you make a decision.
And, thank you, and panic, which was the second thing I was talking about, right? And I'll come back to that. So instead of fretting, do focus. And what do I mean by focus? All right. as they say, you don't have a man. Did you die? You gnashed on Valentine. Did you die? Did you die? You woke up the next morning and went about your business. Is it not? Okay. They didn't give you flour. If it's flour, you got chop. Listen. Focus on the positive aspects of your singledom. This is what I do because I am over 30 and my ass is single as they come, right? Okay. For me, the thing I cherish the most about being single is that I can do whatever the hell I want. Now, when you get to a certain age, this is like so underrated, as they say on Twitter, because you'll have kids or whatever. The ability to wake up and just do whatever you want to do with your free time is something you will miss when it's gone, and you won't realize how much of an asset and a valuable thing you had. So whilst you have it as a single person, use it and enjoy it, right? So do you want to go to the movies? You don't have to ask, hey, do you want to see this movie? What movie should we watch? Oh, but the kids you get up and you go. Call up a friend, hit the theater. If they don't want to see it, you go by yourself. You don't have to spend your Saturday at your husband's boss's mother's funeral, right? Because he's like, oh, I have to go. My boss's mother is dead. And then you have to tag along because husband. So you're sitting in some village on a Saturday sweating. You don't have to do that kind of thing. Not if you don't want to, right? There's so many other things you could do, right? Focus on your bag, as they say on the internet. What's your bag looking like? Do you have money? If you don't have money, why are you thinking about husband? Focus on your money. Do you want to start a business? Start your business, because these are the things, again, you may not have the flexibility to do when you're married or when you're in a relationship and then inevitably you have kids, if that's your vibe, your flavor, right? Focus on yourself. Focus on self-improvement. Focus on the things that you can do to make your life better, your happiness, your wholeness, and like the man becomes secondary, because we're not done working on ourselves.
Absolutely not.
We really not. And your 30s are the critical years, right? To do all these things. When you have the self-assuredness now, you have the clarity. You know who you are better than you've ever known at any other phase in your life. So therefore, you know what you want for the first time with assurance and like a bit of intelligence. Because in your 20s, you're like, yeah, I want to be a princess or whatever. So, that's not what I'm talking about. How do I meet William or Harry? That's not what we're talking about here. In your 30s, you're like, okay, so I guess I'm not going to be a princess. So here's what I'm going to do instead. You should be somewhere in your career. Do you have a career? If not, best get one or something. Get up and be doing, as they say. And stop this boy business. Do you know what I mean?
And being single doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhappy or you're sad.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't
be. And I'm saying deep down, you're not. It's the other people who insist that you should be worried and concerned. That then you start like, oh, mate, should I be? It's
true.
Focus. Don't fret. Focus. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Now, part 2. Don't panic, but do reflect. So don't panic. Again, this is self-explanatory. When you fret and fret and fret, and you let people be like, "Oh my God, hey, by this time you should be having 2 children." You will panic. You will start to be like, maybe I can deal with body odor. All I have to do is insist on him using lime, and then
a lot of people do this.
Yes.
They just end up, settling.
If he doesn't have money, because I focused on my bag, I'm doing well. So if he doesn't have money, maybe I'll just marry him like that and man. No, don't do it. Do not make stupid decisions in a time of panic. Do not become a desperate housewife, because that's for a lot of people. I feel like they just settled. They got panicked and they settled, and they ended up in disgusting marriages.
And then you hear them complaining.
Like I said, desperate housewives. There's all these groups on Facebook full of wives complaining about the misery of their day-to-day lives with their husbands. There was one, I was telling Eddie, some woman came to ask advice about what she should do because her husband doesn't like to flush the toilet after he does a number 2, and she got fed up of flushing the toilet after him, and she didn't do it one day, and he came home and he was upset. Why didn't you flush the toilet? And she's like, why can't you flush the toilet? And he's like, because I'm a man.
You see, and that's the thing. For me, for example, I can't deal with that. For me, that's reason not to get married to you.
Of course.
It's not, I cannot deal with cleaning up after somebody. I just can't. If you're not my child, I will not be cleaning up after you.
And even the child, once you get to a certain age,
you do it yourself. Like my nephews and my nieces, when they've played, I say, come on, pack your things.
Oh, even like the little toddlers, I make it a game. Let's put the toy in the box game. They lie bad. You pick it up.
It's just, I don't know.
So, full of people going through hell just so they could say, maybe I got my BA, maybe I got my MA, maybe I have a PhD, but the MRS, the Merstles, is the most important thing. It isn't. It really isn't. It really isn't. And I know it's hard. Just saying it is easy. Believing it is much more different. Yeah. But like I said, I'm getting to the second part. Reflect. So let's do some reflection. Ask yourself, what do you actually want? Do you really want a husband? Do you even really I don't think many people have even asked themselves because they don't feel like it's an option. Like it's like I have to get married. Do you really want to be married? And if you do want to be married, you do want a husband. Why? What do you want out of it? Right? Are you just broke?
Because people get married because they see potential or the guy is rich or something.
When I was younger, I used to, I used to tell my dad or whatever that, oh, I'm not feeling too well or I'm hungry, and he'd be like, you're just bored. Really, you're just bored. Some of the hunger, like, oh, I feel like eating it. You're literally just bored. Yeah. Do you want a husband or are you just broke? Because those are two different things. Are you looking for someone to rescue you, or do you genuinely want the companionship that a husband brings? Do you need a place to stay? Is that why you're getting married? Let's be honest. Let's really reflect.
And right? I have to keep telling her. I talked to a friend of mine. I keep telling her that, like, if I want to get married, it has to be deliberate. It shouldn't be a place where the guy says, at this point, I think I'm ready. So the next woman that comes my way. Yes. I don't want that kind of thing. And then later you said, no, I didn't start loving you until 2 years, but we are going to die in a year now. So that's what it is. I don't want that kind of thing. No.
What do you mean by that?
Like, what's that?
Now, okay. Again, you're fretting about everyone around you seeming happily married. Are they? Are they truly? Have you really analyze people's relationships, the ones that you think are goals or whatever, and know what they're going through? And ask yourself, would I be able to deal with that?
People are living in unhappy marriages. People are living in sexless marriages.
Thank you.
People are frustrated.
Is it worth it to you to have to flush away someone's doo-doo just to say you have a husband, or to be walking and your husband has 2 cars and he doesn't want to give it to you? And then you get a car and he's like, your car is nicer, so give it to me. And if you don't want to, then he's complaining that he's going to divorce you. Can we deal with that? Can you deal with that? Ask yourself these serious questions, right? Now, here's the other thing. Now, assuming, because of course, I'm not, going to just dump all over marriage. There are certain, it's the right kind of marriage. Yes, the one that is truly grounded in love. The one where you're truly compatible. You enjoy each other's company. Nobody is here because of some desperation. Nobody, nobody's here because they panicked. Everybody's here because they want to be. Now, if that's what you're looking for, which I feel like that's what we're all looking for, what have you done about it? Here's the other thing. Reflect on that too. Do you go out even?
That's my sub.
That's my sub too.
Stay in the house and hope that a guy comes into my house.
How's he gonna get there? Wouldn't that be an invasion?
I know.
Wouldn't that be like an armed robber or something? How is a man going to know you're even there when you're literally laying in bed watching Netflix? Which, have you made any steps to actually go meet people? Right? So there's that. Be proactive. If you're looking for, you have to be proactive. You have to take the steps to meet the person you want to meet.
And the thing is that sometimes you feel like, I've seen it all before. It's the same old thing. Getting to know somebody. You ask all these questions. You go on a couple of these, and then you find out that he's trash. Like
yeah,
whatever,
and it's just
again,
a waste of outfit, a waste of makeup, a waste of eyebrows.
It's like so much effort.
It is, and so that's where you reflect. Okay, do I really need this? Because if going out on a date is such a chore, maybe I don't really need to. I'm not that pressed to meet someone. And that's the thing. Don't be pressed. Let it happen, but don't be stupid either. Be proactive, but don't be pressed about it. Whatever. Another one bites the dust. If the vibe is not right, don't go. You don't have to go. Like,
you don't have to force it.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Don't
after the first day, they say you're not compatible. That's it. You don't have to force it.
Because you're like, oh, but I'm over 30 now, so I can't just be. Listen, all those people that tell you not to be picky. Listen, this is the time to even be pickier.
Honestly,
to even be pickier.
I had this conversation recently that there's no way I'm going to settle. I'm sorry. Like maybe I'll turn 67. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to settle for somebody who's cheating. I'm not going to settle for somebody who's a liar. I won't do it. No.
And then, of course, when you say things like that, people are like, well, then
all lie.
Or then you won't have a husband. Or then I'm like, yeah, all right. Like, again, I just need you to understand that a husband is not a necessity, no matter what anyone tells you. It's only a necessity if you didn't focus on your bag, focus on yourself, focus on your happiness, focus on your career, and focus on having independently somewhere to live and something to do. And after that, it just becomes a want and not a need. Yeah. Do you understand? And there's a fundamental difference in how you approach wants versus needs. Yeah. And I guess to sum this all up in a one sentence nutshell, hang in there, don't fret, don't panic, but do reflect and do focus.
It's brilliant, amazing.
All right, see y'all. Bye. I'm thirsty.
Bye. All right then, see you next week.
Bye guys.